Okay, now moving on to the ears. At first, they look like a big mess, lots of overlapping parts. That's okay, because we're going to just take it just like we took the other parts, and we have basically, even though it's folding like this, we have two parts. We have the inside of the ear, and then we have the outside of the ear. So one point, we just need a seam to break those apart. I'm going to use this side here. If I double click it, looks like I only get those two. So I'm going to just go around. And if on your model, you may have added more detail and actually put an edge loop that would divide the two, maybe going down through here. I would use that as your seam. But so I have this here now selected. So I use the cut tool, use the move shell tool now. Okay, so now it's still all one, and I'm not sure why. I think it might be because inside here, inside my head, I still have, I have these edges that go around inside, so that's on the inside here, and I really don't need these. So I'm going to go to both of these ears. If you don't see the geometry, you don't need it. So we'll delete that out. Okay, and make sure I didn't delete too many. Okay, it looks good. Now, let's see if I use the move shell tool. Okay, it's still all one. So let's see. Next I could try is double clicking in face mode, going to isolate, and see if there is a portion that is still part of this. I'll try even cutting it again. It looks good. So I'll do cut, then move UVs, UV shell, switch to UV mode. There we go. We got it. So I just needed to try it a couple times, and that could typically be the case. Okay, so now I have these two ears, and both of them, or the two parts of the ear, both of them have blue and red in them, or purple. This is more purple and this is more purple. Okay, so the one that has more blue in it, you can go ahead and just do the smooth UV, and it should work pretty good to unfold it. It just works so good. Okay, then this other one, because there's oh, I lost it, so I need to select my model again. The reason why, so this, if I tried to select all the UVs here and use the smooth tool, it did work, but it had to flip it inside out first, which sometimes it has a hard time flipping it inside out. I find it works a lot better if I first select it, flip it like we did with all the other parts, then unfold it, and it works out just much better. So switch to the move tool, move it off of that. Okay, we'll adjust the sizes of all of these in a minute. So now I excuse me, now I move on to selecting this one side. Excuse me, the inside there, moving around, trying to shift double click. Okay, I got all those edges. Okay, now I cut it, use the move UV shell tool, switch to UV mode, wait for a slow computer. Okay, there we go. So now I have the smooth, then I select the other one, switch to the select the shell, smooth UVs. Okay, the reason why you have to select the shell is because if we were to, let's move it up here, if you were to just select part of it, so only these 5 or so UVs are selected, and then I do the smooth tool, it will only smooth that part of it. So you want the whole thing to be selected so that it'll unfold the whole thing. Okay, so now we have all of the parts unfolded and looking good. Okay, now the next thing that you do is you need to get all of these parts to be the same size in ratio to each other. For example, this is a foot and this is a foot, but this foot is taking up 4 times as much space as this foot. So this isn't a hard thing to do. All we have to do is go to Polygons, Layout, and if it doesn't work, make sure you go to UV mode, select all the UVs, Polygons, Layout. Okay, now it still didn't work, and I think it might be because I missed this tail. I still need to unfold my tail. Okay, so let's go in and see what we could do for the tail. I have see if I select it. I have an edge loop going around that splits it down the middle this way. So that would be the easiest. I'm going to go inside and make sure I don't have faces on the inside, which I do. So I should have cleaned this up in the modeling stage. Now it's okay. Okay, I go to edge mode, double click it. I got lucky. Looks like it went around. Okay, I'll just cut it. Use the select and move. Move the blue off. Smooth that one. Switch to the red one. Now this one might be an example of it having a hard time flipping inside out. Let's try it. So I unfold it. Okay, so this is the problem that I was talking about a minute ago. If you don't flip it from the red side first, it could do this. So I'll first flip it, then smooth it, and there we have it. Okay, we could probably eliminate one side of seams. If I go to this edge here and move and sew that, there, now we have less seams to worry about. Okay, and that puts this side nice, which is good because this side's a little crowded with all of the way the model works. So this side will look nice. Okay, so now let's see if we can select, switch to the move tool, select the entire. I had to zoom out to see, make sure I got everything. Go to Polygons, Layout. Okay, there, it worked that time. Now let me just go to the layout settings to make sure that your settings are the same. So I have single or multiple objects, non-overlapping. I have a prescale to objects, and flipped reversed, which we should have already done that. Then UV settings, uniform, and shape and free rotation. Okay, setting all of those will in this way is what makes it so that now my legs are in proportion, so they're the same size, or these might be my legs, then my arms are the same. So it's all, if we look at the model now, all of the cubes from the checkered should be relatively the same size. Okay, so that we're 95% there. The next thing we need to do, the final thing we need to do, is even though it is nicely laid out and squeeze it all inside of this box, all we wanted to get from the layout was to get them all the same size. But now we want to lay them out in here in a way that makes sense to us. So I'm going to switch to the Move UV Shell tool, and I'm just going to pull them all out again. Okay, and then I'm going to just go through one part of the body at a time and start moving it back in here in a way that will make sense, so that when I go into Photoshop and paint this, I'll understand what I'm painting. So I'm going to start with the biggest things first. So this is very large, okay, and I can see over here that that is my torso. So right now, the problem with this is it's turned sideways. So I could switch to the rotate tool and rotate it back to being forward. Or they have rotate tools here which will rotate it at 45-degree increments. So there, I've rotated it 90 degrees. And I'm going to put this right here in the middle because on my character it's right in the middle. Okay, the next biggest thing is this head. So I'll select this, move it into place, and rotate it. Okay, you want to be cautious of the borders here, so I need to move this down so that it fits inside. I don't want anything overlapping, so I'll need to now select this, I'll use the move shell tool and move it down just a little bit. Okay, so now there's a little gap there, so it's not overlapping. Okay, next I'll move to the feet, and I think this is a foot. Yep, that's the foot, his left foot, and so I'm going to move it down to where it would go on our image and rotate it so that the toes are pointing down. See if I can get it to fit right there. Okay, and now I'll move that. That shows that it's the other foot, so I'll move it down. Okay, if it's snapping like that, you just might need to try it again. So I rotate it twice, so it's there. I could try there. I could fit it there, so that's good. So I just know that this is on the right side of my character, the way as I face it, and this is on the left side. And if I was going off more from this way, I might want to flip these two, but for the most part I look at my character from the front, so I'll have it in that way. Okay, next we have the arms. So let's see which one this is. Okay, that's the arm on this side, so I'm going to try to squeeze that in there. Okay, and if it's snapping like that, I might need to just switch to the move tool, which is pressing W on the keyboard, and there I moved it in. Okay, now it's got some overlap, but I'm going to move this one over and try that. Okay, now this could get confusing because this one's pointing down, like the fist is at the bottom, and the fist on this one is at the top. So it makes more sense to me to have it face the way that it is facing in there. Okay, so this is where we start to run into room, having enough room. Because now that we're getting it to be facing the way that we would like, we might be running out of room. And you just want it to look close enough for you to understand when you open it in Photoshop what you're actually seeing. So if I were to move the head and the body over this way, it'll give me room to move the arms up next to it. Okay, and you don't necessarily have to make it exactly like this, but now I can know that because the fist is on this side, on the right, that it's the one that looks that way as I look at the pig on the right there. Okay, and this one, the fist is over here on the left, and the fist is over here on the left. So to me, that's going to make sense when I go into Photoshop and paint it. Okay, and I'm going to move it up tightly, squeeze it in. Okay, and also when I move these, it shifted a little bit down here on the bottom. I think if I just switch to the rotate tool and rotate this a little bit straighter and move it down, it should fit. Okay, it looks like it's just barely fitting inside, which is just what I need. Okay, same with this side. I think if I select the whole shell, I could move it, rotate it, and shift it down. I'm trying to avoid scaling it. I could scale things, but then it'll lose the proportions. It won't be in proportion. Okay, so next I just have all of these extra bits that could be moved. I have the two eyes. This is the right eye, so I'm going to put it, here's a little gap that I can use. I'm going to put it over here on this side, then this eye I'm going to put on this side, again, so that as I face it I know which eye I'm painting. Okay, then the nose will make more sense if I rotate it this way, then place it in, and then the tail I think should rotate like this. Okay, now maybe if I had turned off the free rotation in the layout section, I wouldn't have the problem of needing to rotate all these. Okay, so that's something you could experiment with. So now I'm just gonna tuck these in. You don't want it to get too tight, like if that's barely missing each other, but I have all this extra real estate here, so I really have no need to go that tight. So I can pull it out just a little bit. Okay, I want to make sure that these two are the same ear, which they are, and these two are the same ear, which they are. Okay, it'll be helpful also if I make sure I know which is the top of the ear. So if I select just these two UVs, I can't see them, so I go to wireframe mode. Oh, there's one, and there's the other one. So that's like the side. So if I select, let's see. Now that's, okay, that's the bottom. So I've got it flipped 180 too much, so I'll go around. Okay, so that's how this should be facing with this little V on the bottom. So I can just make the opposite one the same, V on the bottom. Okay, and then this, oh, I know that because I cut those faces off on this side, that is going to be the bottom of this one. So I'll grow the selection, rotate it down. Actually, now that I look at this, I could probably sew at least one part of this together. I'll go to the Move tool, switch to edges. Yes, these two edges would line up. So if I were to move that, and then grab the whole thing and smooth it, okay, good. Now I have fewer seams to deal with. Let's do the same thing on this side. If I go to edges, select these two, move and sew. Okay, I wanted it to rotate the other one. So let's just rotate this down, smooth it. Very good. Okay, so now we just need to move this ear here and this ear here. Okay, so I'm even doing with these ears, even though they're sitting on top of each other, I'm putting the ear that is facing more left on the left side, and the one that's here on the right as we face the pig is more on this side. So like it could get confusing if I were to shift them this way. So this way now I can see which way. I know that everything that's symmetrical that is on the opposite side I'll know which one I'm painting.